Hey everyone, welcome back to That's True, We Were There, a podcast about all things true. My name is Rice, and I'm joined by my good friends, Guy.
Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah.
Jazz.
Yeah.
And AJ.
Nah.
Unfortunately, Mac couldn't be with us today, but
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace. This is
He's not dead. We just wanted him to rest in peace.
he needs his rest. He was pretty tired.
He's a little tired, yeah.
Today is our first in-person recording of the podcast. We are currently around a really small table.
In a study room.
In a study room.
A very small study room.
With one microphone. Right. It's good for the sound, though, which is why we picked it. So, hopefully this goes well. Anyways, today's topic is probably most likely dreams and nightmares. Most likely. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
So, the other day, I had a dream, and my name was Martin Luther King.
We'll start with that.
Yeah, we'll start with that.
Well, I don't know.
Then we'll start talking about Fortnite, and then
and then it'll be great, and then it'll be good.
Dude, dreams in general are just whack.
Honestly, like how many of you actually have like dreams you remember on a daily basis?
I do on a regular basis. I have very I don't know if the listeners remember, but a couple episodes ago I referenced a dream where I picked up a squid and just dropped it on the beach for literally about half an hour. That's pretty normal. That's pretty bog standard for me. It's I'll have these cryptic
squid dropping dreams.
Something similar to that, or I'll just
Do your dreams speedrun Minecraft?
I played basketball with my own heart. I pulled out my. I don't know how to explain it other than I pulled out my own heart.
So your dreams involve manhandling flesh.
Yeah.
Flesh and animals.
Not all the time, but it's manhandling men. Mostly men. I love men.
You heard it here first. We've got it recorded. That's all. This is a sting operation.
Yeah, now we can say anything we want.
We will cut the man love.
I mean, you said you like.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
The thing is, I have these dreams, but I've never had a lucid dream.
Really?
Never had a lucid dream. No.
I don't know if dreams I've had have ever counted as lucid. I was aware that I was dreaming, but I was not in control of anything that was happening.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it kind of
what do you so lucid dreams are more really
you control it.
Yeah, it's those are dreams you can control and also slightly bizarre in a way.
Yeah, you're in charge of whatever happens because you're aware you're dreaming and you're aware everything that's happening is within your unconscious.
I mean,
yeah.
So none of you have ever had a lucid dream, huh?
No, I don't think at least not one that I remember.
Oh, what was yours like?
Yeah.
Do you remember it at all, or do you just not remember?
Bro, I had so much coochie.
Not,
no cap though. That's
seriously?
the one time I decided, or my body was like, you can lucid dream. It was like, but also you're gonna be horny.
How does your body know what that experience is like?
I wished for coochie in my dream and then it happened.
No, but
it figures it out.
How does your brain know? Oh yes, this is what coochie feels like.
Replicate that. I don't know, bro. I'm a bigger virgin than the Virgin Islands themselves.
Yes.
Just imagine it's like you're whacking yourself off.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Fair.
I don't know. I often do not have dreams that I can remember. I can wake up and remember that I did dream something, but by then it's pretty much all gone.
I mean, isn't the whole thing basically we always dream? We just never. A lot of the times we don't remember.
To some degree, usually it's not a cohesive thing. It's one thought that kind of completes itself, and then you just drift for a while, and then something else will come up. So it's not one story that you can follow and remember.
Honestly, dreams are
they're meant to be erased, basically, because otherwise your brain will confuse it for
memories,
stuff that actually happened.
Yeah, like memories. But dreams are one of those things that you can't really unlike a lot of our other bodily functions, you can't really measure. You can measure
pee.
Yeah, you can measure pee and poop.
You can measure brain waves.
Yeah,
but
you can measure brain waves while you're
it's not. You can't determine exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Right.
It's only where they're triggered.
Yet. There's patterns emerging that people are figuring out where that.
Oh great! I'm sure that'll go well. I'm sure that won't get abused.
Yeah. So mind reading is potentially. It's very complicated, but it's potentially in the far future somewhere.
Yeah.
There's some patterns emerging.
Read my mind now.
You're thinking about.
Girlfriend.
That would be romantic, but no.
No, I was thinking about a table. Just a plain table in a white room.
Yeah, that's where we are.
Almost.
A playing table and a white.
Are we, Mr. Anderson?
We're not in
No,
the
the
white
room,
room.
the wall behind me is turquoise.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only difference.
From your perspective in the room, this room is white.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's all about perspective.
That's dumb.
but what is it? What was I saying? But yeah, no. The interesting thing about dreams, because I often think about this in my dreams. But because I'm Mr. Vinyl Man.
We get it. You're
Yeah.
pre-med.
I'm pre-med. I don't have a stable job career in the future. Anyways. So, no, I do often think about how it's really interesting how dreams are something that we, like, sufficiently comprehend, like, and we use, like, often, we talk about often, dreams and nightmares and things like that. It's very common for everyone to talk about it, right? You don't need you don't need any prior knowledge of it. But we have no idea, like, what exactly, like, we don't.
The downside of live recordings is that.
No, yeah. I mean, I could cut it, but I won't.
Yeah.
Good.
But no, it's just stuff that you can't really like process or measure. Even though, whatever. You know what? I think I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you
That
should.
was a
be.
wonderful burp, though.
If we
It was
did
really-
it on,
There's not-
on Discord Zoom, I could have muted myself. I
Uh,
wonder whose fault this is.
No, cry me a river.
I think that I was
some cheese with that boy.
But there are a lot of different, like, so lucid dreams is one of the like different types of like these categories of dreams, because one of them is like yes, wet dreams is another one of
It
those.
is a category.
And
Rather unfortunate one.
yeah,
Especially when you wake up during the middle.
okay, all right.
I'm scared.
No, it's when you realize you're dreaming in the dream, and then you wake up and you're like, fuck.
Damn it, can't go back to
Couldn't
bed.
stop.
Go back.
Yeah.
Can't stop, won't stop. Goes back to sleep.
Yeah, you just wake up and then you nut.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause you already started, and then when you wake up, you're like, why am I waking up with a full-blown orgasm?
Of course, because you nut and you don't even have the orgasm feeling. It's
So what's the
just,
point?
oh man, now I can change my underwear.
It's the same feeling like someone like punching a guitar and just watching the air come out of it. You get the thrill of the entire popping. The air just kind of sadly comes out of the tire.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
You don't have to look at.
I wasn't looking.
No, it's fun. What was it? What were we talking about?
You were discussing the different categories.
That's
and how,
right,
measuring lucid dreams.
Yeah.
Can't keep my train of thought.
So there are a lot of things out there that, like, there are a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, if you do this, you can get a lucid dream, or like if you lay in this particular way, T-posing on your bed, you can get that.
Dude, the first time I ever experienced sleep paralysis was because of some post like that. I was like 15 years old. I was like, this whole lucid dream thing is kind of cool. I want to figure out how to do it. So I look
Truly a
online.
glitch in the game engine.
I look online, right? This person's like, oh, the way I did it was like I like coffin pose, like hands to my sides, like held them by like, and I like breathed a certain pattern. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll try that. And I think I blotted it because it just was a pure traumatic experience of what it was. But I distinctly remember some black form walking into my room, like standing over me, then leaving. And I was like, that's not a lucid dream.
No,
I don't think
no,
that's what.
yeah.
I looked it up, and sure enough, that was sleep paralysis because I couldn't move.
Yeah.
Like I legitimately could not
I
move.
have experienced sleep paralysis, but without the hallucination. So it was somewhere in the middle. I just couldn't move my body.
Mm.
So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I can kind of like move my eyes, but I couldn't really move anything. So I'm like, oh, I'll just wait for this to be over then. Hopefully.
Dude, the ones with the figure just watching you are absolutely crazy. I think I've mentioned this before, but I had one of the worst sleep paralysis experiences. I think I was like 14, 15, and I was just out cold, and it was like around 2 a.m. I somehow knew it was 2 a.m., like just subconsciously. I woke up, I was on my side, and I couldn't move. I wanted to move because, like, you know, I'm awake. I'm like, I assume that I have control over my body, but I didn't. Now, I knew the door was closed, but next thing you know, I felt like it just opened, and there was just a black figure just standing there. And I was like, this is where I died. In my mind, I was like, man, I'm dying tonight. A demon's gonna get me.
That was similar to what happened to mine. It was just there was a figure in the room.
There's more. It starts moving towards me
mine
slowly. The weirdest part is that I felt it. Like, you know when someone's on your bed and you can feel that I felt something move on my bed and it started crawling towards me like spider posing over me.
Oh.
And it was breathing down my neck. I felt something breathe down my neck. And it was like heavy breathing, like, and I started freaking out. Like, I couldn't tell if this was a reality or not, and like I was so afraid.
Skinwalker. That's what that was.
A walker is a skin.
Skinwalker, yeah.
The best way to combat sleep paralysis demons is to moan.
see, I would if I could.
Can you make noises when like you're like?
Some people can. Some people can't.
It's not
really
like
depends.
they probably think they are, but if you were listening to like a recording of it, it'd probably sound like very soft.
Yeah.
Have you ever had sleep paralysis?
I luckily have not had any instances of sleep paralysis. I've had hallucinations while I was like in between sleep and awake.
I get sleep paralysis a lot in the car. And
Really?
people always look at me because I try to.
What do you see in the car?
Oh no, I get regular sleep paralysis. No demons.
Oh, okay.
You got what he got. You basically you got what he got.
Yeah, I could not move.
Yeah.
But I'm conscious that I can't move. But
Yeah,
I try to make
part of
noise,
it.
like, and I'm actually able to make noise. So it's like me trying to say something, but I can't move my lips. So it just comes out as like a And there are instances where I could flash my eyes open, but they immediately like just go like that, like they just slap close.
Have fun, man.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. That's fine.
Sorry, but then I when I catch those glimpses, like, or like I can hear my brother or my mom being like, "What's wrong with you?" or like, "What's going on?" And then I'm like, "Yeah, I just had sleep paralysis and I was trying to get out of it." Because a weird thing when I have sleep paralysis as well is that I can make noise, but then I'll imagine or dream that I woke up, but then like 3 seconds later I realize I'm not actually awake. So I try to like shift, I try to move, I dream that I move. Like I dreamt once that I fell out of the bed to help myself get up. Like it's just like an Inception kind of level thing, and it's so frustrating. Much less scary, but more frustrating than anything.
Yeah, I can imagine that, especially because like you're feeling your brain give the command saying, "Hey, right arm, move," like or something like that. But when you give it and you're just not, your body just doesn't listen. I'm sure that's a very terrifying feeling. It's probably similar to like amputees feeling like the command from their brain to move a right arm that isn't there.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
like,
a ghost lamp, I think is what they call it. I'm sure it's something pretty similar to that. It's just,
yeah, I think it is like similar to like when you're trying, like that period of time when you're waking up, but you're not fully awake yet.
yeah, she knows.
Where so like you're waking up from. I'm waking up to ash and dust. I wipe my ass and I slap my nuts.
I'm breathing in the genitals.
yeah. Just a brief little segue. Imagine Dragon sucks.
That's it. All right.
End of segue.
End of segue.
We
Jay,
return to our
should we-
normal podcast.
Should we talk about the sleep paralysis couch?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
I was gonna mention
So
that.
most sleep paralysis incidents tend to happen with me. So usually it's with the car. I've had some weird ones growing up, but I was rooming with AJ and Mac at this point a year ago. But it wasn't with them actually. I was living in the same apartment with with different roommates. It was still Mac, but then I had two other roommates with them, and I like to sleep on the couch. That's my favorite place to nap. But weirdly enough, I would consistently get sleep paralysis on this couch, and I had another sleep paralysis demon just like watch over me. I felt it just. It wasn't my roommate because he was in class, but it was like outside. It was like at his door watching me, and I started freaking out. And it didn't help that my other roommate, I'll call him L. L was really into some weird spiritual stuff. Not to judge anyone's religion, but it was just very esoteric.
Yeah, he was really into that, like, I'm not entirely sure if he's into psychedelics, but I'm pretty sure he was.
He was.
He was.
Yeah, he was into the
Like,
weird.
he was into that weird stuff. Like like the idea of like, oh yeah, I can't wait to contact the demon, and he just put the stuff above his room. It was more just like, yeah, I like knitting. I also like contacting demons on the side.
And I guess I reaped all the negatives from it.
Yeah, I remember when you told us about this, and wait, did you have sleep paralysis on that couch again? After
Consistently.
Consistently.
And I never learned just because I liked sleeping that much.
I'm willing to sacrifice it for the sleep.
It was not worth it.
Unrelated to dreams, I have a bad experience with my bed.
Currently or no?
Well, no. So it's actually a funny. So when I during freshman year, I moved in early, a week before AJ and I became roommates, and I was not used to sleeping on a twin. White privilege moment. I was not used to sleeping on a twin bed. I've been sleeping on a full size or a queen size bed for quite a while.
That's fair. You are a large man.
I am a very
You're tall.
I'm tall. And yes, I can't say that.
I don't know about that. So.
I'll confirm the second one.
Up top, jellyfish. So I was so used to sleeping in like full size and queen size beds, and I move a lot in my sleep.
Oh yeah.
So when I get to my freshman room, I see the twin bed. I'm like, all right, it's a twin XL. It's large enough for me lengthwise. That's fine. It's large enough for me widthwise. I'm just not going to move as much. Cool. I go to bed the first night after, all the orientation stuff. And I wake up. I wake up to the feeling of me falling. and I hit the ground. And my brain can't process it. I'm like, why am I on the ground? And I realize as I look up, I've fallen off the bed from rolling.
Cool.
Off the bed.
Nice.
I'm like, all right, that's fine. I'm gonna sleep further closer to the wall next time. So I do. Day 2 rolls around. Day 2 orientation's over. I'm tired. I go back to bed. I fall off the bed again. I roll off the bed in the exact same manner and hit the ground on my back this time, not my front.
Wow.
I hit the ground again. I really need to figure this out. I get back on the bed. 3 to 4 hours later, I'm estimating here because what happened was I woke up in the morning on the ground with no pain, like no instant pain, which means that I had been laying there for a couple of, which means I hit the ground and stayed asleep.
Cool.
Wait, so I could say that maybe you did wake up, but you hit your head hard enough that you might have not remembered.
That is also very
That's
real.
A good
That's a very real
Oh.
possibility. So I didn't have any like concussion like symptoms or anything. I felt normal.
Your head didn't hurt after that?
No. Like I was fine. And then lo and behold, it happened again sophomore year. The same thing. I got used to it, and I started like getting used to the twin bed. And then I went back home for the summer, back to my home bed. And I came back, and we moved into our new residence hall with us.
Yeah.
I came first, remember?
Oh yes, I remember.
And
Always.
I always come first. And I did it again. The first 3 nights I was there, I fell out of my bed.
Is it just a ritual?
I don't know. It's scary.
You must have gotten over it within a week because I don't remember you ever.
Yeah, I did. It was like 2-3 days in a row, and then it stopped.
Okay.
And then I was.
I think I would have noticed,
But
maybe not. Though.
But you remember when we were living together, how many marks were on the wall next to me because I.
Yeah. I remember. I think either in your sleep or like when you were just kind of chilling in your bed. You literally in the last week we were living there, you managed to put a dent in the sheetrock with your elbow.
I did. I
explode
think I
around,
was asleep
like,
because I
the
did
back.
not consciously register that until I woke up in the morning. I was like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
My first thought was, "Who put that there?"
Who came in my room at night and put an elbow-shaped hole right next to mine?
Come in my room, put an elbow-shaped hole in my wall.
Call
me gay.
Wait, hold on. A full, like an actual hole? I thought it was just
Like,
a dent.
No, it was a
No.
dent.
It was a big.
It was sizable.
Like that.
It was like half dollar. You know the size of a $half?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
See, that's still impressive considering those walls were kind of concrete.
Yeah.
No, those were
you-
definitely sheetrock.
No,
Just part of it was concrete.
You also don't understand the sheer strength of me being asleep and not knowing what I'm doing. I
I'm just
flailed.
mad.
I've fallen on the bed before. I did have that experience once, and I never did that, and I was used to sleeping on twins, so I did it at home one time where I woke up right after I hit the floor. So I woke up and I felt like I just fell, but I didn't feel like any pain or anything. I didn't feel the impact. I just woke up and I was like, I must have just literally just fallen off the bed, and that's what happened. But unlike Jazz, I do not move very much when I sleep.
Oh, yeah,
I've never had a
yeah.
problem.
There were
with it.
times where I thought you were.
Yeah, he's a very good
I stay
host.
pretty rock still when I when I sleep, except for the times where in my dream, right? I'm trying to do something. There's a lot of resistance to it, and then it translates into real life. And often it's either kicking or punching, and it's not like flailing. It's just I've been told that I would just sit up and do a cross
Shadow boxing?
right.
You start shadow boxing?
No, actually, or that if I was sleeping on my side, that I would just do a straight kick out and then wake up like that. It doesn't happen super often, but I didn't fall off the bed a lot, but it was just me if you came next to my bed at the wrong time,
You get kicked in the nuts or punched in the
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good thing Rice's bed is not up against Guy's wall. You might just come crashing through in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it's like that when you're trying to climb
I don't
through the
need to worry
fog or
about
whatever.
it.
I don't know if you guys have ever had that experience before. Where a dream motion translates to a real life motion, then you wake up and you're
Slightly.
Yeah.
I was actually really worried about that one particular time when I was a kid because we went on a Boy Scout trip to a battleship that's museum.
Oh, so that
yeah, for Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we would go. You got to camp out in there, which was super cool until you realized how narrow the bunks were, even for an 8-9-year-old kid. And I was like, if I have a bad dream or if I just suddenly jerk in my sleep, I'm just gonna smash my head against this piece of metal that's 3 inches from my face. So I was just I was actually worried about that, but I didn't really get much sleep because the adult chaperones that were with us would literally just keep coming in to check if everyone was asleep, and they decided to do that by taking a flashlight, pointing it in all of our faces to make sure we were asleep.
Nice.
What a great way to make sure you asleep. Oh, wow.
Yeah, are you guys all asleep?
You up?
Are you guys all asleep?
You up?
Are you all asleep? I'm gonna point the light at each individual face to make sure you guys are still asleep. Okay, I'm glad you guys are still asleep.
Because
Good
the Boy
night.
Scout camp counselors want to know which ones are the heaviest sleepers.
But that was actually someone's mom, though.
Oh my god.
That was actually someone's mom, though.
Oh my
Not a scout leader. So
God.
it was bad.
But I think it's really interesting how sometimes what we do in our dreams just translates over to real life. I don't know how many of you guys talk in your sleep, but I have some instances when I talk in my sleep.
I've never been told that I do, so I don't think I do.
I've heard you make noises in your sleep. You've never made a full sentence, but I've heard not.
Good.
I've heard it's
That's
pretty
what he's dreaming
entertaining.
about me.
It's pretty entertaining.
So there
It's
was
usually heavy inhales, exhales, or
Definitely
you burped in your sleep.
dreaming about
Pretty heavy.
Just let out a big one.
Impressive.
So there were times where I've actually talked in my sleep, but sometimes they would come out as a yell, and I would wake myself up. Apparently, when I was young, I think I was around 12 at the time. I was sleepover with my brother and a childhood friend, and they were playing video games. I was dozing off. I was asleep, but apparently, I got up, looked around, and just said, "Hey, where's the Nutella?" And I went back to sleep, and they still reference it to that
It's a
day.
good question. It's a fair.
I can just imagine Jay sleeping
I
peacefully
don't
and
like
just being like,
giving me
"I'm Bazinga!"
I know you're thinking.
Just
Stop.
waking yourself
Stop
up.
right now.
What is Guy?
Guy is looking directly in the because he and we have talked about. He's mentioned an idea that involves Nutella and corn to me before, and I will not tell any of you what the idea is because it's funnier that way, and it's also I don't want to.
I don't think it's ad friendly. It's probably not.
If we did that.
I think we're saving that for an episode about pranks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Actually, that's
okay.
a pretty good topic. I think.
I do have a question though that
Yeah.
just came to my head from the whole movement thing. Have you guys ever had a nightmare that's made you jerk up in your sleep?
Yes.
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 I think at least once.
I've had a nightmare turn into an anger dream where I woke up, and instead of being afraid, I woke up of whatever was coming at me. I woke up angry and I yelled "fuck you" to it. So I was just
Defiant.
and then I jerked up and just said "fuck you."
That's the Doom guy's
Screw
origin
you,
story.
Sasuke.
No, it's defiant last words. In your dream, you thought you were just gonna die, so you're like, "This is how I want to go out." Fuck you.
Fuck you.
You ever get dreams where you're falling, then you just spasm awake?
Yeah.
No, dude, the worst is the dreams on a boat and you wake up and your bed's basically rocking.
Never had
I've
that.
never had boat dreams.
Really?
No.
No, I thought that was like a normal thing. I've had dreams where, like, it actually, ironically, I was on a cruise ship when I had a dream about being on a cruise ship that was
That wasn't
in
a
storm.
dream.
No, I'm serious.
I don't think that's a dream.
I know it was a dream because in the dream the cruise ship flipped completely over and everybody was
That's
still
not a
flying.
dream.
Which 70s movies?
Oh wait,
Snakes on a plane.
No. I know what movie you're talking
Sorry,
about.
Adventure.
Wait, I know why you're referencing it too, because Family Guy referenced the movie. You absolute child. I thought you were referencing the movie. I was talking. No, you were referencing the Family Guy reference.
No, I
Bryce, he's living rent-free in your mind right now.
I actually was referencing the actual movie.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
so
right.
you drew the
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't
pulled the
expect
trigger
more.
early.
You played
It's a
yourself. You played
It's a
yourself.
knee-jerk reaction,
Yeah. But
But no, that's exactly what happened. I had that nightmare and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die because the boat literally went underwater and then came back up as normal. And then I woke up.
Did you survive?
In the dream, yeah.
I'm
But I woke up, the sea was completely calm. The boat was just, as cruise ships do, you feel nothing, right?
It's cruising.
My head was shaking so bad, I felt the bed rocking like a canoe on a rough lake, basically. It was a rough river. It was like, oh my gosh.
I've actually had a dream. I've
It's
had
terrifying.
one dream I remember about a ship. And it doesn't involve a normal ship. It's a pirate ship. For some reason, I was just dangling on one of the masts for a solid 30 minutes.
Like loose style or just like
upside down. No, not more than
down.
loose style. No, it was like attached to my ankle, and I was just basically swinging back and forth on a mast on a pirate ship.
you crucified?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I really hope not. I don't know what that says about my psyche, but no, yeah, it was weird because I kept track of time in the dream, and it was a solid 30 minutes. It was a solid 30
why
minutes.
is 30 minutes a recurring theme? You and I were just doing like a useless task for like 30 minutes.
I don't know if I was a task or part of my. Maybe it was part of like the whole dream, but that was just the only part
part
I
you
remember.
remembered, yeah.
It's just me just swinging back and forth on like a pirate ship mast for a solid 30
I
minutes.
think the weirdest thing that I've ever experienced related to a dream had nothing to do with the dream. At least I don't think so, because I didn't remember it very well and didn't stand out to me as anything extraordinary. It was the way that my dream worked. Because I literally woke up from the dream, then realized, oh, I was dreaming. Okay. And I was like, I have to pee. So I go to pee. So it means I have to go all the way down the hallway.
Right.
Like, pee, like wash my hands, do everything normally would, fully conscious, go back to bed. And within a minute, I was back in the dream. Like, pressing pause.
Hey yo, quick save.
And it was super weird because I was like, I've heard of that before, but I didn't think it was that seamless. Like I thought, like you woke up, meaning you did kind of like almost regain full consciousness, but not quite, and you're still like really groggy, and you're still in your bed, so you just fall back to sleep, and you're still kind of like running that same dream in your head. Still, you didn't really totally wake up, but I had to get up and like move around.
Yeah.
The other thing I've experienced, which relates to that, but it doesn't. It's more with sleep in general and like that in between consciousness.
Yeah.
Is somehow this is all coming back to a different voice capture, which makes that's a weird loop. Anyway,
Voice captures.
didn't get a lot of sleep on this trip. It has nothing to do with the trip itself. I did not sleep well at all. So when I got back home, I was really tired. It was like pretty early, like maybe 8 p.m. and I was already really exhausted. So we were just watching TV in the living room, and I just fell asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
So my parents must have woken me up, and I must have like been awake enough to like hear them and like, oh, go to bed. And I walked up with them like up to my room. They like put me to sleep, and they're like, okay, like good night, whatever. And then maybe a few minutes, or like I don't know exactly how much time, but it couldn't have been that long after I went up there, I like woke up. But from my perspective, I never woke up in the first place.
Oh.
But I do remember while being asleep, like kind of seeing myself moving through my house. So what happened was that I was like sleepwalking, which I've never done before. So I must have sleptwalked up there, but the problem was when I woke up, I remembered the last thing I remembered was actually being in the living room. So I'm like, why am I in my bed? And why is it like 8 p.m. because I never go to bed that early? And I was like really disoriented. Like I felt like I was literally in like a simulation. Like I literally lost my entire orientation for like 20 or 30 minutes. And I had to like ask my parents, like, no, you walked up with us, but you seemed like really out of it. I'm like, oh, okay, I think I sleptwalked, and then I was able to calm down. But I was genuinely like terrified.
That's actually a pretty good transition because I was actually just about to bring up I just remembered a sleepwalking experience that I've had, and I don't know how, and there's no precedence for sleepwalking I've only slept well once in my life. And oddly enough, it was like whenever the only time I sleepwalk in my life is the one where it's this freaking creepiest thing that anyone has ever seen. It was so according to my mom. It's the second floor of our house, right? And I typically just leave my door open or whatever when I sleep because whatever, it doesn't really matter to me.
Bold.
Yeah, I'm bold, brave. But so basically, I went to sleep and I woke up in the morning. Standing in the not T-posing. I was standing almost leaning against the door frame of my mother's room. And the door was open and my mom was just kind of looking at me like really and this was it was not morning, it was like 3 a.m.
Dude, that's so terrifying.
Yeah, dude, I would freak out if I was your mom.
Apparently my mom was like still waking up at the time. She didn't know if she was dreaming or not because apparently I just kind of walked down the hall basically to my mom's room and I stood in the doorway stock still, not moving at all. And she doesn't know how long I was there for because she felt like something weird and she woke up and she wasn't sure if she was awake or not and she just sees like a dark silhouette because we have a small light in the hallway.
Yeah.
So a dark silhouette just standing there, right? And it's like she's like
child shaped too.
Yeah, like
Mother, I have pissed.
and this mother, I have pissed the bed. I have required you to tend to me. No, but apparently it was for a solid she just kind of looked at me for a solid 10 minutes or so because she wasn't really sure. And like that's when I woke up and apparently my eyes just kind of shot open and she was so freaked out by that she just kind of made a yell which really woke me up like the second time and I was just really confused and so was she. But never sleptwalk again. At least I don't know if I ever sleptwalk again because if no one's around to see you sleepwalk, how do you know you sleepwalk? Unless you come back.
Leave evidence of things around that weren't there.
I've never heard of people sleepwalking and waking up kind of in the middle of it.
Because typically people go back to their beds.
Some people
but
I said,
also,
they dream of
Rice,
it.
knowing you, there would be some evidence because the way you operate at night is kind of an enigma. I could totally imagine you just cooking full meals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just semi-conscious, and you're like, oh, I'm just dreaming.
Yeah.
I don't remember cooking. Orange chicken?
It's like you'll do the whole thing, and then you wake up, and you're like, that was a weird dream. Why did I dream of me cooking orange chicken?
And I go down and eat orange chicken.
You go
not even thinking about it.
Face.
you have a little sauce left on your finger or something, and then the leftovers are in the fridge.
Oh, wet dream, huh?
The dish rack was empty when you were last conscious, but now it's full of dishes that are clean. Peak efficiency sleepwalking.
Honestly, if I could do that, that'd be really freaky, but also really interesting.
Because you're getting rest while your body is
Being
you can do chores and stuff while you.
Well, could you imagine studying while being fully rested at the same time?
That's
that is a whole other level of mental engagement. But if you could do that, that would be insane.
That's why whenever you see that, I started to see the question recently, if you had to get rid of the need to eat, the need to sleep, or the need to breathe, which one would you pick? And most people pick sleep.
Sleep? Yeah.
No, most people pick sleep because it's you're wasting 8 to 10 hours of a day.
Right, but if I had full energy all the time, that would be so disgusting. I like my sleep, and also
you'd have to be able to rest, but not sleep.
That's okay. You can sleep.
The way I envisioned it is that
okay,
that's fair.
Because I was gonna say when I'm done studying, I take a nap immediately because it sets itself in my mind.
That's the thing is you can eat, you just don't need to. You can sleep, but you won't suffer any negative consequences.
Well, could you imagine not needing to breathe?
That would just be weird.
Right, I could still breathe if I wanted to. That's the thing.
Well, that's the
flick
weird
it off
thing.
and go underwater or something like that.
Yeah.
Is it a survival tactic? I guess because just being
I
underwater
feel
won't
out
matter.
of all those options, the option to turn off breathing or not is probably the least useful. At that point,
really, I think it would be.
If you just turn it off permanently, then you don't need to. But what's the point of turning it on and off?
Yeah.
So
to smell something, I guess, is the only benefit.
Yeah, I mean, smell. I
smell
think
danger approaching.
I
That's
feel
why,
like
if you could turn off pain receptors when you go.
I smell danger.
Danger oddly smells like fish.
Right, but also I feel if you're at the gym, they tell you to
guys' farts.
when you have to do a a movement at the gym, or when you kind of want to breathe out, not because it helps you lift.
Yeah.
But I feel nowadays because well, at the time of this recording, it's we're still kind of semi in the pandemic. We still have to wear masks at the gym. So I feel like if I'm doing cardio or something like that, I feel like it'd be super useful. Like where I don't. So for people who don't know, I'm a very sweaty man. Like I sweat very, very easily. Yeah. And with the cloth masks that I have to wear at the gym, sometimes I'll hit the punching bag, or I'll jump rope, or I'll go on the treadmill. And because I sweat a lot, my mask soaks up all of it. And by the end of my workout, yeah, I'm basically waterboarding myself. So I'd be willing to give up needing to breathe if practice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, most people, I guess, unless you really like. I mean, if it's most people like sleep.
I love food.
Yeah.
I can't give up food.
Yeah,
I would rather.
That is actually pointless.
Giving up food is probably like idiotic.
Unless you're like used to being near starvation, then that would probably help you. But if not, it's.
And for me, even like I don't have to even be hungry to eat.
Exactly.
Right. So when I'm bored, I eat. When I don't know what to do, I eat. When I'm stressed, I eat. It's not like I have to eat. I just
when I need
happen
to eat, I don't.
I've had this man room together. Jay just run out of his room because he was frustrated with studying or with homework, and then just make bacon, and then angrily offer everyone bacon. Does anyone want some bacon?
Fucking bacon.
Hey, you want bacon?
And I took the bacon.
You know, I remember that now, and like
I took the bacon. And you did openly say like I'm making stress bacon.
That's true. I was there.
Hey,
it is true.
Roll credits.
Hey. Wow. Just kidding.
But going back to like the dream portion, because you meant, how did we get on like
Dirty
the
cheating.
breathing, like the sleepwalking, how your body reacts. So you guys mentioned like how you practically pressed pause, went to the bathroom, went back to sleep, and then you made the joke about the piss drawer. I had something similar with.
Wait, you had something similar to the piss drawer?
Well, I'll get to that. So so I was in the middle of a dream, and I woke up, and I had to pee. And instead of getting up and peeing, I just pissed myself. I remember you telling me.
I'll be like, I'll pee first, then I'll get up.
So someone normal telling you this story would be like, oh yeah, no, that was probably like when he was 8. No, this was when I was 19. No, 20. That was 20.
Were you like, you're like really groggy?
No,
you just started
last
peeing.
year.
Yeah.
This was last year.
Oh, okay.
No, I woke up because I felt that my pants were wet, and that was because I peed.
Okay, I thought you woke up and then like you were kind of like in that really, really bad grogginess where you wake up with that like bad curve in your sleep cycle, where you're just really out of it, and then you thought I have to pee, and then you're like, you started to pee and then realized I'm not even in the bathroom yet, and you just keep peeing.
I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's experienced that now. That sounds pretty realistic.
That reminds me of this one time I was in a call with
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I was in a Discord call with Rice. It was 5 weeks ago. Maybe.
I wish it was never a
Yeah, 5 weeks ago. And it's the night before I moved into college. And I'm playing a game, playing TF2, talking to Rice, and I have to poop. And you know, I'm thinking it's gonna be a no wiper, so I just kind of let it start to happen. But it wasn't. It was I shit myself.
I fucking shit myself.
It was a really bad wipe. It was really, really bad wipe.
Have you ever had
Because I was wearing my underwear when it happened, so it was like all spread up on my ass.
It's like that will just ruin your day.
See, the funniest part about that is when I was in the call with him, I suspected nothing. He revealed nothing to me. Nothing changed.
He was just casually conversing with me with
talking to me.
shit in his pants.
As crap was filling up his bumhole. He was just talking casually to me. Like, not even a note.
I'll be right back. I shit myself.
Dude, that's horrifying.
Not a note of panic or like concern in his voice.
I thought it would be a no wiper, and I didn't know it wasn't until I got to the bathroom and pulled my pants down.
He did not tell me this until we started school. Like a week in, Weekend is like, hey, you remember that call? I'm like, yeah, the call where you and I were in the call. Oh, like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I crapped myself.
So the reason I told him was because I was doing my laundry that day, and I usually wear these nice breathable sport underwear, and I had one pair of underwear with me at school that isn't, and that's why.
You wouldn't have told me otherwise. If not for him looking for his underwear, you would not have told me.
You would have gone your whole life without knowing that
Maybe
he's shitting himself.
Maybe ignorance would have been better for me. Now I'm just concerned.
So moving on from literally
Yes.
wrapping yourself,
Yeah.
I remember a story, Rice, that you told me where you kind of metaphor, like your whole family did, because of your sister with the ghost.
Oh, that. Yes. Oh, yeah.
What?
I was gonna save this for like when we do some hard, like, you know, our experiences with like oddly unsettling things about, which is a future topic probably. I'm pointing at the microphone as if it's a person.
Make note.
But oh yeah, so you brought this up and I was just thinking about it. But so this happened to Solid. I don't know if I probably told some of you guys, but this happened to Solid when I was 14. So 7 years ago, like 13 or 14. My sister at the time was like 9 or 10, depending if I was 13 or 14. And so basically it was winter time and it was around December and school was still going on. So I think it was a Saturday. And the night beforehand, the roads had gotten really icy. And unfortunately, a high school kid and some other kids were driving down the road and they skidded out on our street onto this big tree. And they crashed into the tree. And they crashed into the tree and unfortunately someone died. I did not realize anything about this because everyone else in my family woke up. I slept straight through the whole thing. And when I woke up in the morning, like, there was a huge dent in that tree and no one told me what was going on. But apparently, so, you know, the crash had happened like at around 1 a.m. Everyone in the neighborhood had woken up. You know, they called the ambulance or whatever. They got the cops. Unfortunately, they brought someone to the hospital. They died of their injuries. Now, a solid couple days passed. I kind of forget about it because obviously I wasn't awake for that sort of thing. And it's 1 a.m. again, around like midnight, 1 a.m., around a similar time.
Would you like to say this was like 4 days later?
This was a solid 4 days later, so like 4 or 5 days later. Enough time where it's
nearly a whole week.
Yeah, like almost a whole week. So it's nearly enough time where like, okay, that's a really unfortunate. It happened in the past, but now like, you know, moving on. Basically, I hear a shout, right, and I wake up, and the sound's coming from my sister's room, right, and my dad's still awake, and so is my mom. We're all just inherently night owls in our family, apparently. So, and so we all rushed to my sister's room, right, to see what's going on. And so we figured, oh, it's a nightmare. She's sitting up in bed. She's looking around. She's pretty scared. And I was like, oh, it's probably a nightmare. Like, oh, Liz, are you all right? And she kind of looks at us. She looks at us, right? I never went super into details before, but this was really unsettling to me. She looked at us, and you know how someone looks at you with like, okay, I don't recognize you. That's the look in her eyes. Like, she did not recognize any of us at all. And it was like complete like fear and like not recognizing you, that like, okay, something really is wrong here. So basically we're like, okay, like something's wrong. Like maybe she's still like, oh, she's sleeping but awake. I don't know. So we go like, Liz, are you all right? And she basically starts rambling. It's like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here. Like, this isn't my house. Who are you people? Like, this isn't my bed. Where's my mom? Where are my brothers? That sort of thing. And like, we try to get her to calm down, but she's like she starts calming down. It's like, yeah, like, this isn't my house. My house is red or whatever. I have a dog. I have brothers. I have a sister, mother and a dad, right? And like my mom, inherently like kind of superstitious, starts freaking out a little bit, right? But at that particular time, we're not thinking about anything like this. Like, okay, like maybe she's really into this dream, right? So we get her a cup of water, and like she's still talking about like, yeah, like I need to go, I need to leave, like I'm like you guys gotta let me go. And soon after, so we give her a cup of water, she calms down, and then we're like, okay, just go back to sleep. It's like, all right, like I gotta go, and then she goes back to bed, right? And so it was a really, really like unsettling event that happened at the time. So we were all kind of shaken and like, okay, we'll just write that off as a nightmare, and we go to bed. Now, the real thing that like kind of cinched it for me was like the next day, right? She wakes up, everything's completely fine. She's acting completely normal. She doesn't remember a single thing of what happened. And this occurred over the course of like an hour, right? Like she was like awake for that hour. Like things were going at that particular time. And so like, okay, she doesn't remember a single thing. And my dad's like, all right, probably just a nightmare, freaky, that sort of thing, right? My mom was like, she was like, she's particularly superstitious sometimes. So she was like, what if it was like the spirit of the guy who died and like was just kind of lingering around here? And I'm like, there's no way. You know what? I'll prove it to you. So I go on so I was like, okay, I'll wait for like odds are they'll have an obituary or something in like in the paper or whatever, or on the website, and to invite people or like let people know, and that sort of thing. So basically, it was a solid 5 days, like almost a week after that particular thing, where I started like, I'll look into this. So I decided to look into it because it just slipped my mind at the time. So I look into it, and so I did read the obituary. It was from the person's, like, she had mentioned three brothers, sister, mother, and father, and dog as well. And I'm like, okay.
Red House.
I'll get more into how I've figured that out later, but I was like, okay, oddly coincidental, but that's enough information to me to keep looking into this. So I was like, okay, blah, blah, blah. Since he went to the high school, like, okay, like, if you want to pay respects, feel free to stop by blank. They gave their address, which is not particularly common for an obituary, but they did. And basically, all right, let me just look that up on Google Maps. So I look it up on Google Maps, right? And it was a red house to the particular dimension that she described. She's like, okay, because in this particular time I didn't mention before, she's like, okay, we have a shed in the back, we have like a backyard. It's a red house. It's 2 stories. We have like a white car and a red car, right? And I saw a white car in the Google Maps thing, and the house matched the description pretty well, and so did the description of the family, description of the house. And it was at that particular point that I was like, Mom, like, cause like I went to her with this, and I mentioned this to her, and she's
Did you
like,
ever contact the family?
No.
You totally should.
I honestly, like, it's
I
been
think they're grieving, man. I don't think that.
That's not something that someone wants to
yeah,
do.
you're right.
That's not like.
But that would freak out anyone.
Yeah, and it, like, hearing that, right, like, sent like there's not very often do I like get like I go like completely numb in my body because like I get like a chill because like that, like when I came to that realization, I was like, oh yeah. So yeah, that is a particular thing that like it's stayed with you such a long time, and no matter how many times you ask my sister, who's probably listening to this podcast by the way, hi, if she remembers anything from that night, and she will consistently, like, she will insist that she does not, and the only thing she remembers is us freaking out about it afterwards. I also never did tell her that I looked into this, so that's also a no to her. Because I didn't want to freak her out, but hey, surprise. But yeah, that is like
real life nightmare.
Yeah. It is. It's less a nightmare, and it's like it's more. Yeah, it honestly, yeah, really is. I'm still like that's why I'm like I'm still like a more superstitious man today than I used to be. Because I could have written it off before. I was like, no, but nowadays I'm like, could be, because stuff like that, like. Coincidence can happen, right? But
more than three coincidences.
Yeah, at that point, But yeah, that's the Thanks for reminding me of that, or helping me bring that up.
Yeah, what the fuck, dude? Like, terrifying.
Oh yeah.
That spot.
good on time. We're good on time. You know, I completely changed the mood in here.
Dude,
Yeah.
holy shit.
But dude, that's gotta like haunt you.
Honestly, it's less a haunting and more just like a core memory that like no matter if I forget a lot of things, that is something I won't forget.
At least if it was like, let's say the spirit of him. At least it wasn't aggressive.
Yeah.
At least it was I have to go.
Dude, imagine if it was like something else, just like who are you people? I'm gonna attack you. Get out of here.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that would have been
Yeah.
bad.
So you know how I asked about the like, oh, how many days was it after?
Yeah.
There's this Jewish belief that the spirit of an individual stays in their body for 3 days and then leaves on the 4th.
Oh.
So that's why I asked,
Oh.
because that's a funky coincidence that
Oh.
like that after 4 days it decided to inhabit a body.
I'm not gonna sleep tonight now, thanks.
Yeah,
Well, hey, I've never been good with telling scary stories, so
What is it? September 19th at the moment.
yeah.
Time of recording, yeah.
Yeah, it's not even October
No,
yet, but hey, spooky season. Pumpkin spice is the real scary thing.
Unpopular opinion: Halloween is a dog shit holiday.
I like
Wow.
horrible.
I like
Really?
Halloween because it's like it's
Unpopular.
cosplay day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bro.
It's an excuse for people adults to drink and for kids to get wasted on sugar. It's
I don't need an excuse.
trash.
Dude, you're missing the biggest thing though, right? After Halloween, you have a bunch of candy that's on sale.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Hopefully,
Give me Thanksgiving any
finally
day.
some bait to send out my
Yeah.
sleep paralysis demon so I can finally catch
Oh,
him.
Yeah, I know. It's never
Honestly,
a big deal.
like
Sorry,
sleep
sorry.
paralysis day. I don't know if I can handle sleep paralysis day. Okay, that reminds me. Remember? Okay, I was mentioning this to you last night, AJ. But I remember when I was like I had a fever. So like these are two things. Both times I had a fever. One, I had my weird Wild West like weird fever dream.
Oh yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
that's right. Yeah, okay, so this is tone shift. This is oddly funny. So this was like freshman year. I was in a single, right? And I had a really bad fever at the time, and I took some NyQuil. First time I'd taken NyQuil in my entire life. So I took NyQuil, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and my entire vision completely yellow hazed, right? It was like everything was yellow tinted, and I'm like, oh no, I have scared.
We call that sepia, please.
Sepia tone.
You've got like the Mexico or Middle Eastern
Yeah.
filter from any movie made in America ever.
But so I wake up and I am aware that I'm awake, but I'm still in my dream. So I took a backseat to me being in my dream. So like, basically, I was in the middle of planning a train heist with my other cowboy compadres. But I wake up in the middle of that, and as completely seamlessly, because I had to go pee, and I'm doing the voice.
Did you pee yourself?
I did not. I went to the bathroom. But the entire time, if anyone was up at like 3 a.m., they would watch an Asian kid come out of his room talking to himself in different cowboy voices, talking about how they're going to rob a train. And go into the bathroom, keep talking as you hear the stream of water of him peeing, him washing his hands, coming out, and then going back to bed and talking to himself in a Western accent to sleep. It essentially just sounded like, we're gonna rob the train. That's right, we're gonna rob the train.
You were doing all of the voices.
How exactly?
He was in the booth.
How exactly are we gonna rob the train? Okay, we're gonna rob the train if we do this. And the entire time, and I was aware of this occurring, right? I could not stop myself. And I went to bed, right? And I'm like, that's weird. My last time before I went to bed, as I was still talking with her, we're gonna rob the train. That's weird. I woke up in the morning, I went to bed thinking, like, oh, I'll forget about this. I woke up in the morning remembering every single bit of it. And I'm like, wow, very cool.
Just for was this before or after we started playing Red Dead? Because that would just be funnier.
This is
This was freshman year, yeah.
Someone stole your idea.
And for my other fever dream, this is also more this is changing the ship back. This was when I was at home. So this was not like at college. I was at home. I was running a pretty bad fever, and so I left a small light on my desk on, and I was facing towards the wall, right? And basically, I was at the point where my fever was peaked up, right? And I couldn't go to sleep because I felt like someone was in the room with me. And I'm like, no way, no one's in the room with me. I look at the shadow on my wall, right? It is the silhouette of someone sitting behind me in my chair, and I'm looking at that, and I'm like, oh. I'm gonna die tonight. This particular night. So I'm sitting there, right? And like I'm like frozen, not in like paralysis, but in fear. And I'm like, if I move a muscle, if I let whatever is behind me know I'm awake, I'm instantly dead. And over the course of 3 hours, I come to terms with dying.
my gosh.
I meant that's where my fever dreams start skyrocketing, right? I start rambling to myself. I'm like, what could be behind? I start trying to rationalize it, and when I can't rationalize it anymore, I start to like delve into like, oh, something is behind me, an apparition, like a demon, something.
Biblically accurate angel.
And be not afraid.
And to the point where I was like, okay, I gotta write myself a mental will, and I don't know what purpose that would have been, but I did it anyways. And then I started muttering prayers to myself, and like, you know what? If I'm going out, I'm not going out with I gotta protect my family, so I'm going out and taking this thing with me. And with such a simple action of flipping over in bed, it took so much courage I had in my body that like I flipped over, right, and like I'm about to shout, and I see that I left my jacket on my chair, and looking like a person. And as funny as that sounds, I was the most relieved I had been in my entire life, and like that's drained so much energy out of me that I just fell asleep. I just knocked myself out.
I love how your last thought was, I'm taking this thing out with me, I'm not letting it hurt my family, and then you turn, it's just, jacket.
There's an alternate timeline out there where Rice is just dead with a broken chair right next to him and a coat on it.
He just attacks the chair without even thinking, and he gets a concussion.
I'm doing it for you, Mom. But yeah, so those are my two fever like hallucination dreams.
I knew about the first one. That second one's hilarious.
Yeah.
In regards to the first one, I think the closest thing I've ever had to that, though, like nothing as interesting as that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had a dream where I just got shot in the face, like just straight up just shot. And from there, the rest of my dream, like whatever objective I was doing, like it was still going on with like side characters. So me, if I was the main character, I would be dead. Like I carried like the first quarter of the dream.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, I was
spectating.
Yes, I was watching everything in third person.
Wow.
And I remember just getting so frustrated at what one of the side characters was doing that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna control this person, and I just did. I just became that person, and like I took over their bodies. Like, yeah, second life, baby, bang, bang, bang.
You know.
I've had a shared dream before.
Really?
Really?
Get one of this, not scary, but just like genuinely mind blowing. With a friend of mine a couple of years back. I don't know if I told the story, but he's the one who I used to like jokingly flirt with, and then he ended up being gay. So that was fun. But he and I both had a shared like I came to school that day, and I was like, I just had a really, really strange dream. He was like, me too. What? Like, and so
Nani desu ka?
what I had was I was looking in the sky and had an observatory of some sort. And all like the sky was just black. Like there was no light pollution. There was no like, and there was no stars, no moon, no galaxies, no nebula, nothing. Just black. And it was.
Keep going. He's just immature.
And I look over to the right of me, and there's another person standing there with another telescope who I can't recognize because the observatory is completely dark too.
Right.
And I feel as like even though I can't really see their figure, I feel like we make eye contact, and then we both look up at the telescopes, and we're like desperately searching the sky.
Oh.
And then that's one of those dreams where I woke up in panic because I love stars, so I was like, freaking out. And I tell them that.
Wait. So I have a question. Could you say that? Can we?
Stop.
Okay,
Shut it. Airplanes are not in the night sky like shooting stars.
But I could really use a word right now.
Anyways, keep going.
Anyways, I tell that story, and he goes, I was looking in the telescope at a night sky in an observatory. The only difference was that he didn't look. He didn't make the eye contact part.
Wow.
So we both were kind of freaked out a little bit.
We were curious
as to why they were different, if they were a shared dream, or I mean, we hadn't really discussed any topics related to stars or anything. There was no reason for this dream to have existed.
Wait, so I missed that. What blinked at you? Or like what blinked at you?
Nobody. It was me and this other thing. I couldn't tell if it was dude or girl. I could tell it was human, and I could tell it wasn't hostile. But it was just the observatory was dark. Like there was no light, nothing. Like it was just silhouettes. So I looked beside me, and there was a person a little bit shorter than me, about my height, that looked at me. Like I could tell it was facing me, and then we both just kind of like went back into our telescope and searched in the sky again, and then I woke up in panic. His dream was exactly the same, with the exception of that eye contact part. That's it.
Wow. Like a lot of people, like to talk about like the because there's not a lot of known about dreams or how that works. Like the idea of a shared dream, because a lot of people happen to have shared dreams. Oddly enough, which is like, sure, you could count as like coincidence, or like since they know each other, they might have mentioned something like that. It just happened to be in the same time. But a lot of the times, there's a lot of like a lot of similarities that like kind of draw into question, like, all right, what exactly, like, what is your body does everything for a purpose, right? I mentioned this to AJ like last night, because this is like something that's been going through my head. But your body, everything in your body has a purpose, and what is the purpose of your appendix? Well, except for your appendix, but that's just evolutionary. But what is the purpose? What is the purpose of dreams? Like dreams have played such a prominent role in society, like in Native American culture, dream catchers and stuff like that, and it's in a lot of folklore. But what is the purpose of dreams? Now, like a lot of people, like, oh, okay, like they're your brain's way of, like, as AJ like mentioned last night, of simulating like what you could possibly run into, or maybe giving you a better look at your psyche, helping you work things out, that sort of thing. I don't know if any of you have had these weird deja vu dreams before, where you have a dream of like something that doesn't make sense. Like months later, you're in that particular same situation, and things play out exactly like they did in the dream.
Yeah, those always freak me out.
Yeah, and like a lot of people happen to have those sorts of dreams. Oddly enough, which is like, I don't know if your brain can like figure out like something because your brain makes a lot of observations, right? And it takes that into account, but in a completely different environment with people you don't recognize, and that matches up the same course of events as you feel like you're going through those events, brings in like a big question, like of what is the nature of like the dream?
So actually, going into that, when I was younger, I had a dream where I was not able to have kids. Like something happened in that dream. Where I was no longer just like, I think I had like testicular cancer and I had to get like things removed.
Right.
So, but after that event, like I was like, okay, that's just a scary dream, like emotionally in my mind, and it's just always been in the back of my mind. But like I remember afterwards, later in life, I would start getting dreams that gave me that deja vu, and I started putting like two and two together. I was like, oh no, if this ends up being a deja vu dream, I'm gonna cry.
I really hope it's not.
I've come for your testicles.
It's not testicular cancer, it was testicular torsion. I'm here to twist your balls.
Twist your balls.
I'm here to step on you.
I'm here to step on your balls, sir.
But yeah, no, like those dreams are kind of freaky, because I've had it happen in small things where, like, I don't know, like I was in a restaurant with you guys, and next thing you know, one of you guys is like, hey, let's go out to eat tonight. I'm like, oh, and I found myself in the same situation.
Yeah, it's stuff like that.
I'm so mad that Mike is not here to tell his dream story.
Since I don't like, we could have a part 2 for this.
This is a long one.
Yeah, this is a long one.
Yeah, someone could just go into a room and drag him out.
No, I mean he's pretty busy right now. But honestly, this could be like, we could have a part 2 of this, because there's a lot here we could keep going with.
But I think that's a good segue to cut her off there and save some good material for part 2. If you guys want a part 2, we've been going at it for like what, hour or so at this point.
Let me check.
You want part 2?
We've been going on for around an hour.
Nice.
I'm sure we all feel like we go on for longer, but obviously we won't, because it's like around midnight.
Yeah, we all have really good durability.
I last a long time.
Thank you.
On the podcast.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jess.
This is not sexual.
Yeah, he's really good at memory though. Like he can play Magic the Gathering for so
That's
long.
Okay, all right.
Shut
All
up,
right,
dude.
okay.
That's a totally different thing.
We're not gonna talk about that.
All right, so I guess we are going to close up here. Thank you guys for listening. This is our first in-person recording. Unfortunately, we couldn't have Mac here at the time, but that's all right. If you guys want more, feel free to let us know. But we're probably going to do Dreams and Nightmares Part 2 next time with the same setup. Thank you guys for listening.
And check us out on Spotify.
Yeah.
Be sure to give us a follow.
That's right. Yes,
What other platforms are we on?
We're going to be on Apple Music soon, but we're on radio something. We're on Anchor.fm, we're on Spotify, and we're on YouTube. And around this particular time, I should have been done by the background, which by the time I upload this, I will be done with the background. So you'll have that too. So be sure to check us out there. And thank you all. Everyone, you give a little golf clap.
Yay. Thank you for listening. You're cute.
Anyways, that's a wrap on that topic for now. Thank you to all our listeners out there for joining us on this conversation. If you want us to talk about this topic some more, or if you have a suggestion for future topics, be sure to leave a comment down below, or email us at our email address. Be sure to tune in for our upcoming podcasts, or maybe go back and give some of our old ones a listen. We are available on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor.fm, Radio Public, and Google Podcasts. A special thank you to Anchor.fm for publishing our podcast. So until next time, this has been the That's True We Were There podcast. And remember, it's true, you were here.